Good evening and welcome. I'd like to call this meeting to order. A special welcome to our communities and Bloom judges that are here, Susan and Larry, and they'll be joining us here shortly. Councilor Wardolfa provides his regrets. Please remain standing if you're able for the land acknowledgement, a moment of silent reflection, and the singing of O Canada. We acknowledge that Stratford is positioned on the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, and the Neutral Inuit peoples. As we gather, we are reminded that the city of Stratford is situated on treaty land that is steeped in rich Indigenous history and home to many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples today. We acknowledge that Stratford is situated on land that was shared between the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, and the Neutral Inuit peoples. We're grateful to have the opportunity to live, work, and play on this land. Thank you. Please be seated. Please allow me to read the respect and Stratford statement. Corporation of the City of Stratford is committed to providing quality service to all members of the public, council, and our employees. Our goal is to promote a safe, healthy, respectful, inclusive, and positive environment. We have a responsibility to treat people with respect by creating safe and respectful spaces. It is the city's expectation that all present will be respectful. Madam Clerk, the meeting is yours.
Through you, your worship. Item 2 is declarations of immediate interest. Are there any declarations? And if so, please state the general nature thereof.
Seeing none.
Item 3 is adoption of the minutes, and there's a motion that the minutes of the regular meeting of council dated July 13th and the special meeting of council dated July 20th be adopted as printed.
Thank you, mover for that. Councilor Niger will move, second by Councilor Henderson. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed, abstaining, that's unanimous and carried.
Item 4 is adoption of the addenda, and there are 2 addendas which have been published through the website. And the purpose of the addendas is to add a delegation, a resolution, and a bylaw. And there is a motion that the addendas to the regular agenda of council and standing committees dated July 27th be added to the agenda as printed.
Thank you. Moving for such, Councilor Burback will move, seconded by Councilor Dean. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed, abstaining, that's unanimous and carried.
Item 5 is the report of the Committee of the Whole in camera session. And just prior to today's regular council meeting, an in-camera session was held to consider the following items. Item 4.1, confidential report of the Manager of Human Resources with respect to collective bargaining update, QP Local 197. That was considered under the Labor Relations or Employee Negotiations exemption. Item 5.1, confidential report of the City Clerk with respect to a request for legal fee reimbursement, and that was considered under the advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege. including communications necessary for that purpose exemption. And item 5.2, confidential report of the city clerk with respect to applications to fill a vacancy on the downtown Stratford BIA board. And that was considered under the personal matters about an identifiable individual exemption. At the in-camera session for item 4.1, direction was given to the clerk to list a resolution and bylaw on an addendum to today's agenda. Item 5.1, no direction was given, but legal advice was received. And item 5.2, no direction was given, but personal information was considered.
Thank you.
Moving to item 5.2, which is on your addenda. So that's item 4.1, confidential report of the manager of human resources with respect to collective bargaining update. There is a motion that the memorandum of settlement with the Canadian Union of Public Employees Outside Workers Division, Local 197, effective January 1st, 2026 to December 31st, 2028 be ratified. And that the mayor, chief administrative officer, clerk, and manager of human resources, or their respective delegates, be authorized to sign the memorandum of settlement, the collective agreement, and all other documents necessary to implement the memorandum of settlement and collective agreement.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Niger will move, second by Councillor Hunter. Any discussion? Seeing none, I will call the question. All in favor? Opposed, if any, that's unanimously carried.
Item 6 is hearing of deputations and presentations, and item 6.1 is a delegation by Communities in Bloom judges. And there is a motion that Susan Ellis and Larry Hall, Atlantic and National Communities in Bloom judges, be heard.
Thank you. Councillor Beatty will move, second by Councillor Henderson. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed, if any, that's unanimously carried. And I'm going to welcome our delegation in. Susan and Larry, come on in.
Well, it's very nice to be here tonight with you. So hello, everybody. I'm Susan Ellis, the current value leader of the community. Former figure of Communities in Bloom. And this is Larry Hall. We chose somebody here for 2 days. We have had an amazing time, so I'll just start there. Thank you all very much. Thank you for your support of the program. And your city shines. It's playfully a wonderful place to be. You are doing a really good job. And I want to personally thank Brad Beatty, who is persona extraordinaire when it comes to enthusiasm for the program and for helping us do all the things that we're doing. Same with Paris and Vars and all of the committees. So I can go on for a long time, but I'm not going to. I've been told I can't. But I just really want to say that this is a program that the slogan for Communities in Bloom is growing great places together. And Stratford is embodying that program, that slogan extremely well. I know you've been with us since we started 32 years ago. And you are one of the outstanding communities in Canada. I do know that you've competed internationally and that you were, they've been to Italy. Anything you want to know about trivia, I mean, it's an amazing testimony to how special this community is when you're asked to go to build a garden for Canada and Stratford in Italy, because you're joining people from all over the world at that point. You've had that honor. So congratulations on that. And we have 6 pillars that we look at. And if you want, I can go through the 82 points that we look at, but I don't know. We come into town and we put on our judges' hats, to say it. And when I go home, my husband says, take off your judges' hats. But it is, we're looking at all the different things, and it is from a wide variety of things, from first impression when you walk in, to fun impressions when you've seen your plants and floral displays, and in the middle of all that, there's community affairs, there's all your things that you're doing to help the environment or your environmental actions, landscape, turf management, urban forestry, heritage, thank you, heritage of natural heritage, cultural heritage, and built heritage. We've looked at all of it, and you have all 3 here. So I won't take up any more time because I want Larry to speak to, he's a mayor, has been a mayor. We call him Larry from the Prairie, and he's from Regina, near Regina. And we've just really had a really great time, so thank you very much for being with us again. It is a pleasure, and I hope that we see you all in Montreal/Rosemère in October, where our symposium is going to be. I think we have a lot to bring to the table and to the conversation, and that's the beauty of having a symposium, is so that people can talk about their experiences. And when we sit and talk to people in communities of Bloom, we do a lot of smiling, we do a lot of laughing, and we do a lot of patting on the back because you've done such a great job. So thank you very much for allowing us to be here.
Larry?
Your worship, thank you again, councilors. I don't have much to say because Susan usually covers it all. But I do want to congratulate you on all of the things I've seen so far. There are a number of aspects to your community that are very special and will be used by me when I talk to other communities, which is really one of the nice parts of what we have to do. We are distributors of information. So we learn from you and pass that on to other communities. And there is no doubt in my mind, you've given me lots to talk about in a positive way. Really nice. Thank you very much.
I have one fun thing to say. I think they all embrace all the people that work so hard with this, and I do want to see more gateway signage.
Thank you.
There you go.
Well, before you leave the podium, we want to thank you for being in Stratford. It's always a pleasure when you come into town. I know you go about your work and you're diligent, but you also find time to laugh and convince, and that's very special. I also want to take a moment to thank Councillor Beattie and Henderson for being the representatives from council. Certainly a big shout out to our group that do most of the work in this, and that's Karis Wynn Hughes, Bart Hackey, and Sydney Carlson. But then I also have to mention the hard work of Director Wolf and Community Services team, and Quinn Malott with the Parks Board. Just an outstanding team that represents Stratford well throughout the year. And so we're so blessed to be able to present that to you over the last 3 days. So best wishes on your journey, and we look forward to seeing you in Montreal.
Excellent. Thank you very
And
much.
thanks, Quinn. He's put up with a lot the last 2 days.
Next item.
Through your worship, item 7 is orders of the day, and item 7.1 is an application for part lot control exemption. There is a staff recommendation that council approve part lot control application PLC 05-26 to exempt block 99 on registered plan 44N-101. Part lot control for 1 year from the date of passing of the bylaw to permit the creation of separate lots for each of the street townhouse dwelling units such that each unit would be under separate ownership.
Thank you for that item. Moved by Councillor Bean, seconded by Councillor Niger. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed to any, that's unanimous and carried.
Item 7.2 is the proposed 2027 budget process, tentative schedule, and revision of multi-year budget policy. And there's a staff recommendation that the report be received, that council provide any additional direction regarding any changes to the process or public engagement format preference, that council provide staff with any specific known initiatives to be brought forward for consideration by the mayor, changes or additions to capital projects identified in the current 10-year capital forecast, and changes in service levels or activities to advance the approved strategic priority goals it wishes to be considered for the 2027 fiscal year, if any at this time, and that council approve the revised multi-year budget policy as presented.
Thank you. Councillor Hunter, will you move that? Thank you. Vice Chair Hapes and will second. Any discussion? Councillor 7, go ahead.
Thank you. Just regarding the policy manual, under procedure number 2, it says each council term, council will develop a strategic plan. Does having that in the policy manual preclude council from, I guess what I want to know is spending the money on a strategic priorities consultant when the term begins. So I just want to know will that be separate? Can the council potentially create a strategic plan without a consultant for strategic priorities in the beginning of the term? That's
I'll turn that one over to the CAO.
Through the mayor, good question. So it doesn't necessarily mean it'll be done internally or with external resources. That'd be something if the staff are planning on doing something from an external resources point of view, we would put it in the 2027 budget. At this point in time, we are looking at doing most of the strategic planning in 2027 with internal resources. We may require some assistance with just some facilitation, but most of the process we're able to be done internally.
Thank you.
Councilor Burbank.
Thank you through the chair. Just a general question about procedure as we go through the year. In the past, we would, as council, refer items to the budget process in a given year. And I know we've done that this year as well with some projects as they come up, we discuss them and we say, well, consider them the next year's budget. So is that going to remain a part of this process?
Director.
Through the chair, yes, absolutely. There will be, so the mayor elect at that time would then be presented with the compilation of information that's been provided by staff at that point, which would include anything that up until that point that's been recommended by council at the budget process.
Thank you. Anything further? I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed to any, that's unanimously carried, and certainly I'll add my thanks to Director Kruger and CLT for beginning this process. Very much. Next item.
Item 7.3 is the neighborhood area 40 km/h speed limit in Northwest Stratford traffic and parking bylaw amendments. And there is a staff recommendation that Schedule 14 higher and lower speed limits of the traffic and parking bylaw 159-2008 be amended by adding the provisions as outlined on the agenda.
Thank you. Mover for that item, Councilor Burbank will move, seconded by Councilor Bean. Any discussion? Councilor Burbank, go ahead, and then Councilor Henderson.
Thank you through the chair. Two questions. One is looking at Matilda Avenue. When we look at the map, part of Matilda Street is already marked at 40. But if I'm not mistaken, I think it may be a collector road. So I'm just curious if from here on to Oakdale will be switched to a 40 or if that's approaching. And the reason I ask that is at the Active Transportation Advisory Committee, we've had conversations with the police and they're actually on board with this process and are ready to do education and enforcement. But they were talking about some signage confusion along Matilda, being that currently it switches from 50 to 40 and then back to 50. So as far as enforcement goes, it makes it difficult if people don't know where certain zones start and stop. So I guess my question is it possible to have all of Matilda be 40 so that it won't be a back?
Director Grayson.
Yeah, through your worship, the intent is to have until be 40 through the entire section of the road. Essentially, the boundary roads will encourage the morning in Garland Street, the road that remain untouched, and it happens going inside those roads will have explicit signage indicating now in a 40 km/h zone. So I'll take that specific on that just to make sure we have our bylaw recommendations correct, if they are, but if not, we'll come back to adjust that slight amendment. But the intent is that effectively, once you enter the zone, every street is 40 km/h must.
Follow up.
One more similar but different question. We've had some feedback from people along Foreman about the speeds going along there and some requests for infrastructure to be put in. Such as my favorite, which is the raised crosswalk. So I'm just curious about possible future installation. So we do have a crosswalk, a not signal crosswalk, a lighted crosswalk, or whatever you call it, at high school. And I'm wondering about making that into a raised crosswalk and that helps slow traffic.
Director.
Yeah, through your worship, so essentially the intent for the whole school area in general to look at how many speed enforcement can put out form of becoming the disciplinary, since that has failed, we're now going to think back options to further look into that larger school zone area, so it's not just one specific location, but rather a general approach level area. Definitely is very concerned that many residents bring up the frustrations and reach out to us on a regular basis for. We're still trying to finalize our transportation master plan recommendation of finalizing some traffic calming policy for the area. Hopefully we'll establish the look guide the way forward for a specific area. In terms of a specific request, having a race crosswalk, fishing crossover for this location on Fort Ave. I'm hesitant to doing it in the near future. We've just recently put in a pilot crossover at Downey Street. The biggest concern I have is to see how it operates over the winter months, so regular operations staff, plow trucks will not ensure that they can navigate that crossover. If it is successful, I would look into doing it in other locations for the city where needing
If I may add, that just recently, the Stratford City Services Board has created a traffic unit. And to that end, that individual and as that team gets built out, will attend those areas that they had concerns or reports of concerns of speed or what have you. And we've had success in 3 key areas in the city thus far with the traffic unit, and as of today, they have notified me that this will be one of the areas that they will be involved with heavily over the next days. Councillor Harrison.
Mayor, I'm just wondering, in the motion says that the pilot program that we should mention that at the end of August and we continue in the fall of 2027. I need to worry about that.
Sorry for that.
Through your worship, we could make an administrative amendment to the bylaw to clarify the term for the pilot.
Okay.
Councillor McCabe, go ahead.
Through the chair, just following up regarding the discussion around Matilda Street. If there is a determination that further traffic calming measures are worth implementing, what kind of time frame might that look like?
Director.
For the record.
Through your worship, so currently that the traffic calming policies on our forefront higher items to be addressed in the upcoming future. Like the 2027 work plan, it is probably going to look forward to finalizing the traffic policy. It's the intent anyway. In terms specifically addressing Matilda, at this point, it is an area of higher concern amongst the residents in the city, but it depends on our workload and the other project missions we're going to move forward with the project. So it's just a matter of prioritizing what work staff brings forward, which we bring forward through our budget deliberation each year.
Anything further on this item? I can't take a question from the audience, I'm sorry. I'll state that we have had delegation and we will continue to work with the province with regards to the automated speed enforcement tool. If that was possible, certainly that I believe would really be supportive for our residents' safety and for our police as well. So we'll continue that work as we move forward. I will call the question at this time. All in favor? Opposed to any? That's unanimous and carried. Next item.
For your worship, item 7.4 is the City of Stratford Home Child Care Program parent fees. And there is a staff recommendation that Schedule F of the city's fees and charges bylaw be amended to establish the fees effective July 1st, 2026, as outlined on the agenda.
Thank you. Mover for that. Councilor Burbach will move, seconded by Councilor Beatty. Discussion. Councilor Burbach, go ahead, please.
Thank you, through the chair. Just wanted to thank staff for bringing this project forward and moving it through, so that it's very much needed. So glad to see it's making its way. So I guess the question is, once we set the fees up, how soon will they be able to start licensing theaters?
Director McElroy.
Yes, thank you through the chair. We're setting this up, we're finalizing processes. Staff is looking to begin in the 1st of September, around that correct, September. And then again, it's process of establishing the home childcare, so. Getting the programming up, it's going to be 2026.
Great.
It's great, thank you.
Any other comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed, if any, that's unanimously carried.
Your worship, item 7.5 is a request for reconsideration of legal fee reimbursement, and the chief administrative officer will speak to the.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I know there's been some commentary in regards to this and some questions on this topic. Unfortunately, the city is restricted to talk about identifiable individuals, so there's only a certain amount of information you can share, but I can share this statement for you on this matter. There were complaints filed, investigations were conducted. No court proceedings have been commenced to the knowledge of the city. The city does have errors and omission insurance, which covers council members' legal fees in certain circumstances. This policy does not apply to cover the fees in this particular case.
Questions or comments from council at this time? Thank you, Mr. Moran. Councilor Henderson.
She's here. I think I just want clarification. I'm pretty sure from what I read in the report that nothing new or has changed since last year, right?
I'll turn to the clerk on that item.
Through you, your worship. Well, we can advise council received legal advice. That legal advice has not changed since the time.
Yeah. Thank you. Councilor Satt.
Thank you. I was just wondering if we should hear from a delegation on the agenda prior to the regular session or however, before we go on or whatever's gonna happen.
And I'll allow the clerk to address that.
Through your worship, yes, so after the questions were completed, I was gonna note there was a request which was listed on an addenda, and there is a motion that Barb Shaughnessy be heard.
Thank you, by Councilor Henderson, seconded by Councilor Verback. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question on. Post of that information unanimous. Carry. Welcome, and the floor is yours whenever you're ready.
And about the second. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council, and thank you for the first part in the move today, providing me and answered a number of questions. I appreciate it. I reviewed the report given to you today, and I did what I always do. I researched and reviewed the videos, motions, resolutions, and your code of conduct, which describes processes, your procedural bylaw and Ben law rules of order. The clerk gave you options on how to proceed. One option not provided, which I would like to alert you to, is the Ben law, which is rule 27. To waive the procedural bylaw, or as they say in Ben law, suspend procedure. In rule 27, they describe the use for doing this as not routine business. Uses that may be extraordinary circumstances. I think this qualifies. I think this fits the bill perfectly. It would be a simple motion that somebody could put on the table and have a first and seconder. And I hope you will seriously consider this option. I watched the video for September 8th, 2025, and this is what happened. There was a motion on the floor to defer. Taylor, Gann, McCabe, and Bonnie supported it. Burbeck, Meyer, Beatty, Hunter, and the mayor did not support the motion. It was a tie vote, and so therefore it was lost. Then Hunter put the motion on the floor to deny Visa the money for the legal costs. Beatty seconded it. Hunter says, based on the investigation, he was denied. This comment I find concerning. Henderson said, but we didn't win. Jody corrects the delegates and says, an outside entity pursued the complaint. Everyone on council except Councillor Seven denies Giza's reimbursement. Hunter's claim is odd to me, as the IC has never gone in camera as required with his report, and it has never come to open council as is required in your code of conduct. Now, maybe Henderson let the cat out of the bag when she said we didn't win. One can assume then that he's a one. Jody said entity, which I find as a very odd term to describe. So, but I don't think most people realize the stress that a complaint has on an individual along with financial obligations. I'd like members to know how close most or some of you have come to having complaints filed against you. I can only speak to the ones that I considered lame, and they were what I consider a slam dunk. Anderson wanted counsel break me over the coals, yelling at me as I sat quietly during the banning. Why didn't I make a complaint? Because it was the first time I had ever seen Henderson lose the control. I thought she deserved another chance. B, wanting counsel, tried to intimidate or bully me with pictures of me on his computer screen before I delegated. You might remember Mike Sullivan referencing it in his delegations. That too would have been a slam dunk. It didn't pursue, as I believe complaints are often petty and vindictive, and I don't do either. Here are the rules under your code of conduct. Number 58, where the complaint is sustained in whole or in part, the integrity commissioner shall report to the council outlining their findings and or recommend corrective action. This has not happened, and we're now over a year. Number 65, out of the code, where the integrity commissioner has filed an investigation report in respect of any inquiry with the city clerk under section 53, the city clerk shall place the report on the next available committee of the whole in camera agenda, subject to provisions of section 239(2) of the municipal act. That did not happen. There was no in-camera motion or minutes referring to this. September 8th was solely about Visa asking to get repaid. 66 on that same code says the city clerk shall, after consideration prescribed in section 61, submit the findings and recommendations of the integrity commissioner to council for consideration on the next available council agenda that is open to the public. That has not happened. 67 of that. The integrity commissioner's findings and recommendations shall remain confidential until the matter has received complete and final disposition of the integrity commissioner, and the integrity commissioner's report has been submitted to members of council by the city clerk. That did not happen. The only time a report is not issued is provided in section 55. 55 says, if the integrity commissioner is of the opinion that the referral of a matter to him or her is frivolous, vexatious, or not made in good faith, or that there are no grounds or insufficient grounds for an investigation, the integrity commissioner shall not conduct an investigation and or shall terminate the investigation if it becomes apparent in the course of an investigation. So breaking news. Late this afternoon, I appreciate it. I got an email from the clerk's office stating that the city never received any integrity commissioner's report. Never submitted. This matter. Let me step back for a moment. So if it wasn't submitted, I have questions of council. How did Mr. Hunter know details of the investigation? Who said so? September 8th, I I'm going to deny this because of the investigation. If there is no report, how does it know? How did Jody refer to as the complaint as an outside entity? With no complaint. How did Councillor Henderson know that they didn't win? If there is no complaint received by the city of Stratford. I think those are pretty serious questions. I've been a part of at the region of field and county college, and I'm integrity commissioner complaints, and I can tell you, nobody knows what's going on until you actually get that complaint. So that is the information I got today. And I really do think you should reconsider it. I think you should look at section 27 of the Ben law, and I think it should be a simple seconder motion and a seconder. I also think that the matter needs to be put to rest, and all the innuendos terminated. It's time to make it right before it goes any further. Pay Councilor Rodolfo the money he is asking for, and he isn't here, but I thank you for all the tremendous work he does as a community advocate. Thank you, and thank you for your shot.
Oh, great. Mr. Moran, sorry.
Thank you. So I just want to add one simple answer to the delegation's question, and that was in my original statement. There were complaints filed. When I say complaints, multiple. When I said investigations were conducted, that is multiple. The delegation talked about the integrity commissioner's review. There were other reviews as well.
Councillor McCabe.
Through the chair. Having been part of the integrity commissioner plan, which was never made public, I certainly was concerned about going through that process, but at no time did I consider getting legal advice for it, and nor did I need to incur a large debt regarding that prior to this. I had felt that way, I would have possibly done so, but I don't think that that is indicated for, certainly for the integrity part of this. And I'm also not aware of any legal proceedings that happened regarding Councillor Rodolfo in relationship to this. So it's very hard to look at legal fees in regard to that, in my opinion.
Thank you. Other comments? Councillor Henderson.
Yeah, Mayor, I appreciate our thorough report. He's good there and looks things up. And I did apologize, I meant that I lost my temper, I should never have done that. And she's right, I've never done that before. I think I was going through a long time, so it's been all right law. Anyway, the going now. What I want to say, I believe when I said that we lost, I was talking about the vote that we just had. We got to be, right? I don't think it was in contact with anything else, but I'm sorry, I really don't remember. I just remember thinking that I've been involved before with the integrity commissioner, and I don't remember at any time thinking I had to go to a lawyer, especially when there's like nothing legally coming at me, just, and my understanding is it was more of our workplace policy of how we treat employees and on how we conduct our business as a council. We have to treat everybody with respect. And when that doesn't happen, investigations do happen. And findings come up, and that's important for people to understand that this process to follow. This council we should follow it, even when we're given advice to be careful what we're doing, and we choose not to listen to the advice and continue on. We can't do anything about that. Unfortunately. It's sad, but.
Councillor Bean.
Through the mayor, just to clarify, I did review the meeting on video, and because I remembered, according to my memory, that I actually opposed not paying the legal fees the first time, and I've reviewed that, and I actually did oppose it, so that's a clarification to that presentation right there, which also stops me from being able to make a motion because the reconsideration had to be on the winning side, and I was.
Thank you, Councilor Bean. Any other comments? Councilor Hunter.
I'll just add one that, I like Councilor Wardolph, I'm glad he's on our council. This is a tough situation, there's information we are required to keep confidential because it can identify individuals and we have no permission to disclose that information. My obligation is to look at the taxpayers in the community. And I didn't feel that reimbursement was justified. So that's why I opposed it, and I've seen nothing new to change my mind on that. And so I'm going to have to look out for our taxpayers and oppose this.
Any other comments? Any other direction with regards to item 7.5? Seeing none. Next item.
Through your worship, item 7.6 is additional information on the accessible viewing area design and installation on Veterans Drive. And there is staff recommendation that the request from the Accessibility Advisory Committee to install an accessible viewing platform on Veterans Drive be referred to staff for inclusion in the budget preparation and ultimately for the mayor's consideration as part of the 2027 mayor's budget.
Councilor Henderson will move. Thank you. Second by Councilor Burback. Discussion. Councilor Henderson.
Want to thank council and staff for all the work on this, and my committee goes really quick at coming back and saying that they want option one, so I appreciate everybody supporting this, that you feel inclined to.
Councilor Burback.
Thank you through the chair. I was gonna echo the same thing. Thanks for staff getting us additional information on this, and yeah, it's important to take the recommendation of the Accessibility Advisory Committee. I'm still enthusiastic to see some sidewalks installed in that area as well, but we can consider that as part of the future of that block.
There's nothing further. I will call the question. All in favor? Opposed, if any, that's unanimous. Thank you.
Item 7.7 is the Downtown Stratford Business Improvement Area Board vacancy, and there's a staff recommendation that Macklin DeWeavers be appointed as a director to the Downtown Stratford Business Improvement Area Board of Management for the remainder of a 4-year term to November 14th, 2026, or until a successor is appointed by City Council, and that the appointments bylaw as amended be further amended to confirm the appointment.
Thank you. Moved by Councilor Burback, seconded by Councilor Beatty. Discussion. Noted, all in favor? Opposed, if any, that's unanimous.
Item 7.8 is the Rotary Complex EV charging station installation contractor. And there is a staff recommendation that council approve an exemption under section 42.1 of the city's purchasing policy for the Rotary Complex EV charging station project. And that council authorize a sole source award to Brain Electric in accordance with section 37.1 of the city's purchasing policy for the provision of electrical installation services required for the Rotary Complex EV charging station project.
Thank you. Mover for that, Councilor Nigel will move, seconded by Councilor Briscoe. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed, if any, that's unanimously carried.
Item 7.9 is the asphalt resurfacing tender award, and there is a staff recommendation that the tender T-2026-08 for the 2026 asphalt resurfacing be awarded to Steve Smith Construction Corporation at a total tender price of $2,141,056.43, including HST to be funded from the CCBF grant funding. That the mayor and clerk or their respective delegates be authorized to sign the necessary contract agreement.
Thank you. Mover, moved by Councilor Burback, seconded by Councilor McCabe. Discussion. Councilor McCabe.
Through the chair, just happy to see this come under budget and also to see water industry to be done towards the Veterans Drive being taken care of.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councilor Burback.
Thank you. Yes, I'm equally pleased about that, especially as a cyclist. It's been a pretty rough ride for a while. So I guess my questions around timing. we're always excited to get these things done quickly, but I'm wondering what we're looking at for time.
Director?
Yeah, through your worship, on approval, these two products, fairly simple nature, next 2 months, the restrictions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Briscoe.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Also on the timing, I just know that for the one parking lot area, it's a one-way in for routes on stage, it's that plaza behind, and then it's a one-way out, so when it's closed on that side, there's actually no entrance into the one parking lot, as the laneway comes up on, it's that Gilbert. And just depending on time, especially in the evenings, I know how busy that parking lot gets with dozens of children running around with dance and things like that, to be able to get into that facility and that plaza, not that parking lot. Just wanted to think that.
See the director noting that. Thank you. Anything for? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Vote for any, that's unanimous and carried.
Item 710 is the flying of the Prince Edward Island provincial flag and the Stratford of the World flag request. And there is a motion that Stratford City Council authorizes the flying of the provincial flag for Prince Edward Island and the Stratfords of the World flag from September 22nd to 25th, 2026, and recognition of the Stratfords of the World reunion in Stratford, Prince Edward Island in September 2027.
Moved by Councilor Hunter, seconded by Councilor Burback. Thank you. All in favor? Opposed, if any, that's unanimous and carried.
Item 711 is a proclamation for International Overdose Awareness Day, and there's a motion that Stratford City Council hereby proclaims August 31st, 2026 as Overdose Awareness Day in the city of Stratford to raise awareness of the tremendous burden various forms of addiction have on individuals, families, and communities in the city of Stratford, and that Stratford City Council authorizes the flying of the Overdose Awareness flag beginning August 11th to raise awareness that opioid use and overdose have reached crisis levels in all communities.
Councilor Briscoe will move. Councilor Henderson will second. Thank you. Any discussion? Councilor Briscoe, go ahead.
Thank you, the chair. So I just wanted to call attention to on Saturday, August 1st at 8:30, there will be a group gathering at City Hall to walk together in memory of those who have lost their lives to addiction, as well as raising awareness for the disease, that it does not discriminate. I know this very personally as a child of someone that was lost to addiction. I lost my dad 10 years ago now to addiction, and suicide resulting from addiction, and it does forever change a family. That not only do we have to forever deal with that loss, I have to be very careful with my own actions, and one day I'm gonna have to sit down with my children and have a discussion with them about their genetics and what they could be predisposed to and what that family history looks like and why grandma's not here. It changes forever, and so I just wanted to make everyone aware that there is that group gathering, that we can all walk together, and just know that I'm holding all those journeying this and who have to journey this now for the rest of their lives very close in my hearts this month.
Thank you for sharing. Councilor Henderson.
Mayor, thank you for sharing them. I lost my nephew at the age of 32, 2017. And why I feel forever indebted is beyond me. It's just, I watched the show the other night, and people sometimes we fight about this, and how many people that are on drugs for 22 years and the effect on them, and also talking about how the treatment centers where you can go in and they give you, I want to call them healthier, safer drugs, and how some of them actually get off the drugs because they learn to trust those people and get educated, and it's so important that we can help people. I know some people don't understand that, but I know even with the health unit there where people can exchange their needles and that. The greatest success of that program after time when people become trustworthy and they can get off the drugs, and like it's so important, and it sounds like a lot of us are affected by this.
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed to any, that's unanimous and carried.
Item 712 is a proclamation request for Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, and there is a motion that Stratford City Council hereby proclaims September 2026 as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, in the city of Stratford to raise awareness that cancer remains the leading cause of disease-related death in Canadian children, and that Stratford City Council authorizes the flying of the Childhood Cancer Awareness Golden Ribbon Flag in support of those affected, to remember those who have passed, and to bring hope for a future where childhood cancer is a Canadian child health priority.
Thank you. Councillor Bristol will move, second by Councillor Burback. Any discussion? Councillor Dean, go ahead, please.
Thank you, through the mayor. I just had a citizen speak to me at one point who had gone through this with their child. Now their child survived and they had, continue on after, but she just kept bringing up that even when your child survives, it is for years afterwards. It's very traumatic, and there's need for mental health supports and things for families, even if they have not lost a child. So I just wanted to bring that, like if any of those things that are out that we would consider supporting, mental health and support families, even when the child has survived this experience. So just wanted to add that other point of view.
Anything further? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed to any, that's unanimous and carried.
Item 8 is business for which previous notice has been given and there's none noted. Moving to item 9, reports of the standing committees. Item 9.1 is the report of the Finance and Labor Relations Committee, and there are 4 items listed as follows. Item 9.1.1 is the CECO/Invest Stratford update. Item 9.1.2 is legacy account codes. Item 9.1.3 is the People Plan and Human Resources Modernization update. And item 9.1.4 is the 2024 and 2025 building permit activity report.
Councillor Hunter will move as chair. Thank you. As chair, Dean will second. Any discussion on those items? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed to any, that's unanimous and carried.
Item 9.2 is the report of the Infrastructure, Transportation and Safety Committee, and there are 6 items listed as follows. Item 9.2.1 is the new street parking options for Hamilton Street. Item 9.2.2 is the Erie Street parking lot redevelopment update. Item 9.2.3 is the overall parking strategies and restrictions review. Item 9.2.4 relates to the Stratford landfill public input invitation from June. Item 9.2.5 is the request for additional parking spaces on Lakeside Drive at Queen Street. And item 9.2.6 relates to the pedestrian crossover at the Huron Street Bridge.
Thank you. Councillor Burback as chair, will you move?
Yes.
Thank you. Vice Chair Nigel, seconds. Any discussion on those items? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed to any, that's unanimous and carried. Thank you.
Item 10 is notice of intent and there's none noted. So moving to item 11, reading of the bylaws. There are 6 bylaws listed on the agenda and then an additional bylaw on the addenda. So first is item 11.1, which is an appointment to the BIA Board of Management. Item 11.2 is to award the tender for the 2026 asphalt resurfacing project. Item 11.3 is to amend the traffic and parking bylaw, schedule 14 for higher and lower speed limits. And as noted earlier, we will include the timeline for the pilot study in the bylaw. Item 11.4 is the appointment and removal of municipal bylaw enforcement officers. Item 11.5 is to amend the fees and charges bylaw for the home child care program. Item 11.6 is the part lot control application for PLC 05-26. And item 11.7 on your addendum is acceptance of a memorandum of settlement and the execution of a collective agreement with the Canadian Union of Public Employees, Local 197. And these bylaws can be taken collectively upon unanimous vote of council present.
Thank you. Mover to take them collectively, moved by Councillor Henderson, thank you, second by Councillor Burback. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed to any, that's unanimous and carried. Mover for first and second. Councillor Beatty will move, second by Councillor Nigel. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed to any, that's unanimous and carried. And the mover for third and final. Moved by Councillor Hunter, thank you, seconded by Councillor McCabe, thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed to any, that's unanimous and carried.
Item 12 is the consent agenda. Are there any items listed on the consent agenda to be considered by council?
Thank you. Councillor Beatty, go ahead.
Thank you. Item CA 2026-091. It's the provincial review of benchmarking funding formulas on length of stay standards for emergency shelters serving women and children experiencing infant heart violence, and I would like to support that.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Burback. I know in my discussion today with Lisa Wild from the Emily Berkeley Center, certainly that would be a value piece, so thank you for that. All in favor? Opposed to any? That's unanimous and carried. Any other items on the consent agenda? Councilor Hunt.
Thank you. Through the mayor, I have two. The first is CA 2026-087. And it's from the town of Whitby, and it's asking the province to defer to municipal decisions when items are going to the Ontario Land Tribunal.
Is that 88 or you said 88? 88, I believe.
Oh, did I? Maybe I got that.
That's okay. A seconder for that. Thank you, Councilor McCabe. Discussion. Director, do you have any comments to make on that item?
Thank you, Your Worship. I did take a look at that, and I think the OLT has been a long debated entity in the province of Ontario. Well, there's the OLT or its predecessors, the LPAT or the OMB. Folks might remember the OMB, that was the term, the Ontario Municipal Board for a long time. It's long debated. There are times where municipalities are on the same side of the OMB decision on an appeal, and there's times, and I think in this case with Whitby, perhaps they are not. I don't know the circumstances. I don't know the appeal which Whitby was, the municipality was dealing with there. But I do know that on balance, the availability of an independent appeal body can be beneficial for council. It serves as an impartial forum for resolving difficult or contentious land use planning items. So there may be times where the city of Stratford as a municipality is on the same side as an OLT decision, but there might be times where it's not. But what it does is it takes that impartiality away. And if council makes decisions, or whether it's a community adjustment, on the advice of sound land use planning, they consider it impartial. All the information that has made a sound decision either for or against what planning staff might be suggesting, that goes a long way. That's how the OLT looks at decisions. While they look at appeal or planning matter right from the beginning and assess how the decision making authority, whether it's council or the community adjustment, made their decision. Did they listen to all the facts? Did they listen to professional advice on both sides, technical advice, whether it's urban designs, environmental protections, all those sorts of things. So like I said, it's long debated. I do not know what the town of Whitby is dealing with these specific circumstances. But my advice to Council of Kowalski is that Whitby take their call or their call against the OLP on their own. I don't know if it's in council's interest at this time to follow along.
Thank you. That item has been moved and second. Councilor Burbank.
Thank you, through the chair. Just in general, I do support endorsing this, just because it is quite general. There's no specific mention of particular issues that they're having or specific land disputes or whatever, but I do think it's really important that we recognize that municipal planning decisions are important. And the way things are going right now, it feels like municipalities are being squeezed out of being able to do local planning decisions. So the way that I read this resolution is to acknowledge the importance of making decisions at the municipal planning level. And that we would be understanding our local environment best. And maybe the OLT is the way for us to be able to get some of that back.
Thank you. Any other comments on this item? Seeing none, I'll call a question. All in favor? Opposed, any? One opposed, and that's carried. Councilor Hunter, you had a second, I believe.
I did. CA 2026-089, and it's correspondence from the town of Penetanguishene requesting an update to the Heads and Beds Hill program, which was last revised 40 years ago.
Thank you. Second by Councilor Briscoe. Discussion, Councilor Briscoe.
Thank you, through the chair. We talked about the heads and beds. The letter itself focuses specifically on the funding aspect, but I think as council, we're always interested in the outcomes aspect as well. And from a service provider perspective, this has long been a request for block funding and predictable funding from service providers, because the actual incentive structure at a crass level could seem flipped. that we are incentivized to ensure that we have staff and program funding to maximize those in our shelters. Which is not the answer that we've heard multiple times over the course of just this last month, but across this term of council, it's not the answer to address those core needs. So multiple times when you ask for block funding, that allows for predictability. So a common occurrence that we have in shelters across Ontario is that we will have a night where we don't have many actually sleep in shelter, and then therefore I have to call off the staff, I have to stop programming, and I don't know if I'll have enough to pay the staff to the end of the month. So now we are having a revolving door of staffing because they need routine income. It harms client outcomes because now we're not maintaining relationships with those that do seek our services, and programs then become in flux. That you could have something running incredibly well, but then in the summer months when you see a downturn of those accessing services, now you don't have enough to continue what is a very good program. So that's just the programmatic service provider side of this as well. So not only are we seeing inadequate levels of funding, but the model of funding it's harming the best possible outcomes as well. So that's where not only do we need to raise those the numbers that they've given here, but also transition to a more block funding predictable model for both municipalities and that service providers.
Thank you. Director Kruger, do you want to add anything? I know I spoke earlier today with you about this item.
Sure, and just to clarify for members of the council here, this particular payment in lieu that you receive is broken down between like University of Waterloo, so for housing related matters there, Stratford General Hospital and the jail. So we get the runs at $75 per capacity for each of those institutions. So just further to Councilor Briscoe's comment, like the sheltered element doesn't apply to us specifically, but I appreciate your point about the outcomes being the ultimate goal here as opposed to money.
Okay. Any further comments? This item's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Opposed if any? That's unanimous and carried. Any other items on the consent agenda at this time? Councilor Burback, go ahead, please.
Thank you. Let's bring forward CA 2026-087, and it's correspondence from the County of Peterborough regarding the list for provincial action on the accuracy of the municipal voters list.
Thank you. Second for that item. Councilor Henderson, thank you. Any discussion? Councilor Burback, go ahead, please.
I'm hoping to also add, as well as endorsing what the County of Peterborough put forward. I do remember from the last election, there was discrepancies around voter lists and renters. So the people that were renting, there was not an accurate listing of voters. So it would be great if, along with looking at non-resident property owners, that they would also ensure that people that are renting are also accurately listed on voters list.
Thank you. Councilor Anderson, you would support that comment? Sure. Thank you. Further discussion? Call question, all in favor? Opposed if any, that's unanimous and carried. Any others on the consent agenda at this time? Seeing none, next item.
Your worship, item 13 is new business. Are there any new business items?
Councilor Henderson and Councilor Martin.
Yeah, Mayor. There's a times throughout the month when different things come to council, I like to take a drive around the city, and I just want to thank staff and council for making our downtown more pedestrian friendly. I noticed the new, well, I don't see it before, but I mean, of course, it's all again that day, the bump out and the pedestrian crossing where they made it narrower to get across to the avenue here. And then I took a drive by where St. Andrew Street is being reconstructed, and my first thought was, what a brilliant idea. I would have never thought of taking the middle section out and narrowing that section and just having 2 lanes and bringing from the sidewalk to where someone else would be. Just a regular crossing for people to get across that spot where, you know, there's a lot of near misses and people, you know, zooming up on maybe during street that goes straight through or whatever. That's gonna make it so much safer. And then as I'm driving around the different subdivisions of that, I'm noticing all the pedestrian crossings, which of course we're adding 3 a year now, which is so great. I know, I remember when we first talked about just having a trial of one, seeing how it would go. And I saw them throughout my city and I just thought, wow. We are really making our city more pedestrian friendly. And then of course tonight we did the 40 km/h thing. All of us set my cruise control, but you know.
Yeah.
I just want to thank you for all the work on doing this and the thought that went into making our downtown more safe and thanks.
Thank you, Councilor Hughes. Councilor Hunt.
Thank you. Through the mayor, I'd like to make a referral motion. This is regarding diversion of heavy trucks from our downtown core. So the motion reads: the council directs staff to prepare a high-level informational report on the possibility of diverting commercial vehicles from our downtown area. The report should outline the current situation, key considerations, and potential next steps. And that the report include a proposed plan to explore options and initiate discussions with the Ministry of Transportation of Ontario, and that staff report back to council for further direction.
The seconder from that. Thank you, Councilor McKay. Anything further on that? And we're limited in discussion here. Councilor Henderson.
Dear Mayor, I believe this has come up before, and it might change, but the answer that came back was Ontario, Erie, and Huron are provincial highways, and we need to have the trucks come through because they deliver to the different stores. So it'd be interesting to see if it changes. So it's been a lot of years since we've done that, but I know we've had people over the years questioning that, and that's the reason why, because most truck drivers want to use the truckways because they can get around fast. And the ones that are coming into the city are supposed to be ones that are delivering things.
Councilor Burbank.
Thank you, through the chair, I'm gonna suggest a friendly amendment if that's possible, to add to that, inquiry to the MTO about the bypass on Lauren. Which was promised to us over the years, to just see if that's also on radar anymore.
Councilor Hunt.
My only comment on that, because when I was looking at this, I did speak with Director Crinkline. And my understanding is the province has said that that is not happening anytime in the foreseeable future. So I'm supportive of the idea, but I don't know whether it's going anywhere.
Thank you. The comments on that friendly.
Either way, I can comment on that. They've been saying that since I was 16. My aunt had to carry her farm down the south side of the river because they're widening the highway. And I remember when they've been here, I think at least 4 times since I've been on council. And the last time they were saying that they were looking at starting maybe in 2031, and each section would take 5 years. And I do remember Mayor Malcolmson saying that they'd like the section in the city done first, but when we saw that report, how they planned to make it 5 lanes wide of Lauren Ave, and we only had planned for 3 lanes wide, and making a roundabout at the corner of Lauren and Lowen and Romeo and Lauren and anyway, I don't know if that's ever gonna happen, but they say by 2031 they should be starting, so we'll see.
Just gonna go back to Councilor back of the head.
Thank you, through the chair. Yeah, it doesn't need to be included, I suppose, but I think we have just as good a chance of getting somewhere with the Lauren Avenue extension or bypass as we do with redirecting trucks in the downtown, and they are related to each other. So having a discussion with the MTO to say, you know, this would be an alternative route for the trucks to go if it was created, it kind of goes hand in hand. So that's why I suggest the friendly.
Any other comments? Councilor Hunter, do you want to hear all of this?
I support the amendment. It doesn't hurt to ask again, yes.
I'm just looking at the second. Thank you, Councilor Page. Anything further on that item? I'll call a question, all in favor? Opposed of any, that's unanimous and carried. I'll say that personally, I've had conversations with the province on this. And it didn't have much traction, and to that end, I have sent out early on over 40 letters to local truckers that come through here regularly. That really don't need to be in downtown. We know there are transports that have to come in. I think the board includes are in town frequently with frozen foods. You know, just asking those companies and the dispatchers there to encourage the drivers to use our truck routes. So I'm not opposed to that. I think it's worth asking and pushing a little bit for us, the safety of our residents. So nothing further on that item. Next item.
Your worship, item 14 is adjournment to standing committees, and there is a motion that the council meeting adjourn to convene into standing committees as follows. First to Social Services Committee, then to the Finance and Labor Relations Committee, and then to reconvene into council.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Savin will move, second by Councillor Driscoll. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed, if any, that's unanimous and carried. And we'll welcome Chair of Social Services, Councillor Henderson.
Slow that. I know we've done lots of that things, but that one was exciting. We were joking about handwriting. I'd like to call the Social Services Committee to order. Are there any exposures of community interest in the general nature thereof? Seeing none. Move on to the subcommittee minutes in there regarding the July 14th, 2026 subcommittee. Number 4, delegations, there's none scheduled. Number 5 is report of the manager of Imperial Works, the Imperial Works client survey results. And the director, Madam, would you like to speak on this?
Thank you to the chair. The report just shows that we recently conducted a client survey and shows the results of where the client survey that we did complete. And we're looking to undertake some follow-up with that. We did have 129 responses in total, and they were based on scaling questions.
Thank you. Any questions on that?
Thank you, through the chair. I just wanted to present the results of the survey speak for themselves, that of the variables we can control, benefit levels not being our staff are incredibly responsive to providing easy communication, timely responses, and you come to these types of programs at a difficult time, and obviously our staff providing a great level of care and service. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? So the motion is that the report titled Ontario Works Client Service Results be received for information. Moved by Councillor Hunter, seconded by Councillor Herbeck. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. So number 6 is for the information of committee. That's the Department of for the monthly Children's Services report, the monthly homelessness report, the monthly housing report, the monthly Ontario Works report, the monthly social services Stratford report. Is there any questions or comments on any of those? Seeing that.
Oh, so I could just make a comment. I know the social services department does a lot of work on a daily basis, especially around our homelessness. And I want to thank them for that. I know we have a lot of work to do, but we would have a lot more work to do if it wasn't for their diligence every day. Thank you very much.
So number 7 is looking for adjournment. Councillor Bean and Councillor Driscoll, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. Henderson, now you welcome. Their finance and labor. You know, so much.
Good evening. I now call the Finance and Labor Relations Committee meeting to order. Item 2 is disclosures of pecuniary interests. Are there any to be declared? See none. Item 3 is in subcommittee minutes, and subcommittee minutes are attached from the July 21st, 2026 meeting. 4 is delegations. There are none scheduled. 5 is the report of the clerk, and 5.1 is options for closed meeting investigation services. There is a subcommittee recommendation that effective January 1st, 2027, the Ontario Ombudsman be appointed as Stratford's closed meeting investigator. And that bylaw 87-2011 and bylaw 22-2017 be replaced effective December 31st, 2026. Moved by Councilor Beatty, seconded by Councilor Nigel. Any discussion on seconds? I see none. I'll call the question. All in favor? And that's unanimous and carried. 6 is the report of the Director of Community Services. There is a subcommittee recommendation. Sorry, it's the facility fee waiver request for the 2 Stratford above banquet. And there is a subcommittee recommendation that the report titled facility fee waiver request be received. And that the fee waiver request in the amount of $4,478.19, inclusive of HST, for the use of the community halls on December 12th, 2026, be approved. Mover for that. Councilor Dean, seconded by Councilor Burback. Any discussion? Councilor Burback.
Thank you, Madam Chair. When I did make that recommendation for this motion, I did note that you'd asked the 2 Stratford with Love people, it's a great event. If they could apply for the community grants program, that probably make this process a lot easier. So I recommend that they do that and support them that way.
Any further comments or questions? No, I'll call the question then. All in favor? And that's unanimous and carried. 7 is the report of the Council Committee Coordinator. And 7.1 is a gateway sign recommendation from the Communities and Bloom Advisory Committee. There is a subcommittee recommendation. Staff be directed to refer the request for a gateway sign at the Highway 7 and 8 east entrance to the city to the Mayor's 2027 budget for consideration. That staff proceed to submit a grant application through the Ontario Rural Development Fund to assist with the installation of a gateway sign with application. And then staff begin steps to work with the applicable permitting authorities to determine requirements. Moved by Councilor Beatty, seconded by Councilor Nigel. Discussion on that one. I see none. I'll call the question. All in favor? And that's unanimous here. Wow. 7.2 is the accessible canoe kayak launch feasibility review. There is a subcommittee recommendation that staff be directed to review the feasibility of an accessible boat launch at the east side of the Festival Bridge, and community sponsors be obtained for the project led by staff if approved. Moved by Councilor Henderson, seconded by Councilor Burback. Any discussion on that one? Mayor Lisman.
Thank you. I'm just wondering, and I'll turn to Councilor Henderson, she might know this. Has this group approached and had dialogue with the Accessibility Advisory Committee about this project at this time?
The email was sent to me originally to staff from the Overcome website. And then I took it myself to the Accessibility Committee and I shared it with them. And then we shared it with the Parks Board and now it's sort of coming back again. I just reminded, it sort of started last year. And then I sent the person that had sent it and just a note saying that it was coming to council tonight. We're looking at that and staff, I think, has reached out and talked to a few of the community, like Gloria and Lions and that, and seeing if we can get help. Like St. Mary's did theirs, and I think it ran them around 100,000, and Wildwood has done one now, and we did accessibility about maybe 8 or 9 years ago. We had a program where the people were coming in, I think they came from London. And they had like a launch thing where they could get people that were in wheelchairs into boats, and then they kayaked up and down the river, and then they were able to help them get out. And we've had some people say that, we've done some accessible paths on the North Shore, and they'd be interested in being able to launch a boat, and that they have no way to get in because of their accessibility issues. So it's sort of become more of a hot topic again.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Any other questions or comments? I'll call the question then. All in favor? And that's unanimous carried. 8 is for each committee information. There are no advisory making outside board events provided. And item 9 is adjournment. Do I have a mover for that? Councilman Burback, seconded by Councilor Henderson. All in favor? And that's unanimous and carried. You're adjourned.
Thank you, Chair Hunter. Reconvene and clerk.
Your worship, item 15 is council reconvene. Item 15.1, are there any declarations made at standing committee to be restated at the reconvene portion?
And noted.
Item 15.2 is a confirmatory bylaw, requires first and second reading and third and final reading.
Move for first and second. Moved by Councilor McCabe, seconded by Councilor Setter. Any discussion? I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed to any? Unanimous and carried. And a mover for third and final. Moved by Councilor Henderson, seconded by Councilor Beatty. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed to any? That's unanimous and carried. And once again, just before adjournment, thank you to our media crew, audience, communities in blue, in particular tonight, staff and council for your work here tonight. Having said all that, a motion to adjourn. So Henderson will move, seconded by Councilor Burback. Thank you. All in favor? Opposed to any? And you are adjourned. All done and we want.